Hi my friends, welcome back to your next Farm Friday lesson. This lesson this morning is a zoology lesson, and I will be teaching you about a type of bird. So we know that birds have wings. They have feathers all over their body. Most of them are capable of flight, except for some of the special ones like an ostrich or an emu or a penguin, but the rest of them are capable of flight. And the one that I will be teaching you about in this lesson is the owl. So let's get started. So, again, as Miss Tabitha said, we know that owls, again, have feathers all over their bodies. They have wings. So let's get into their anatomy. So an owl's head is round, just like our head. The very top of it is called their crown. Think of a crown that is worn by someone that is worn on top of their head, and that is what the top of their head is called. Also, the top of our head is the crown. They have a beak. That beak is used for catching and eating their food. They can't chew with it, but they're able to grab things with it and pull that into their mouth. They have two very large eyes, and something very neat about an owl's eyes. Their eyes are very large, but they cannot turn their eyes. I can look over here with my eyes, I can look over there, I can look up, I can look down, just with my eyes, not moving my head. An owl must move its head to see things. Instead of moving its eyes, it must move its head to see things. And its eyes are very large for the size of its head. So I'm going to show you a comparison very quickly. An owl's eyes, some owls, their eyes are about this large. And that is about a little bit larger than the size of our eyes as humans, as an adult. But if we, as a human being, if our eyes were that large in comparison to the size of our head, our eyes would probably have to be about as large as a softball instead of a golf ball. Could you imagine? Right now, looking at Miss Tabitha, if my eyes were this large instead of about this large. So that's a great fact about owls, because their eyes are so large in comparison to the size of their heads. Now, we're going to continue on with the rest of our lesson. So, as I talked about their heads, so a lot of people think that an owl can turn its head all the way around. Now, if you think back to the praying mantis lesson, and I talked about how a praying mantis can turn its head almost all the way around, not quite. Same thing for an owl. No animal can turn its head all the way around. That's not possible. That's only something you see in a cartoon. This is a real living animal. An owl can turn its head 270 degrees, which means if you see behind Miss Tabitha, you can see trees and you can see different things behind me through the window at my house. Sitting here, if I were an owl, right now I would be able to turn my head and see those trees and see the street behind me and the other things that are behind me without turning my body. But me as a human, if I turn like this, I can see the wall to the side or that side, or I can see the curtain. But if I want to see those trees, I have to turn my whole body. But an owl would be able to only turn its head to see those things. But remember, not all the way around, but 270 degrees. That's almost a full circle, my friends. So we're going to move from the head, we're going to move over to the ear openings. So birds do not have ears like a human or other mammals. They have a hole on the side of their head. We have a hole there, but our earlobe amplifies the sound. For owls, they have the hole on the side of their head, the ear opening. But if you look at this barn owl, that is the species of owl in the picture, if you see around its face, it looks sort of like a heart. Well, its eyes are set back into its head, and around its eyes is sort of like a disc shape. Similar to the way that our ear is curved, the bones around the eyes are curved in that way, and the ear is just here along the edge of that disc shape around its eyes. So that flat area around its eyes pulls the sound in, and it goes into their ear, which again is just beside their eyes, and allows them to hear. It amplifies the sounds that they hear so they can find the prey, the food that they are eating. So we're going to move down. Here's the body of our owl. We have the wing of our owl because this is a bird that can fly. It's capable of flight, so it will be able to fly. Our owl has an abdomen, which is this part of its body, and it also has talons on its feet. You will be getting this with your lesson material. You will have the answers for it, but I want you to try to think back to the lesson before you look at the answer key, okay, my friends? So I'm going to put this down. We're going to talk about a few more owl species. So as I said, this is a barn owl. Other species of owls include the great horned owl. Looks quite different from our barn owl. It has feathers on the top of its head that look like ears, but that is not its ears, remember. Their ears are closer to its eyes, not on top of its head. There's the burrowing owl, the pygmy owl, snowy owl, and the screech owl. If you look at all of the owls, you will notice a lot of similarities. They all have large eyes. They have that disc shape around their eyes just to the side of their ears that amplifies the sound. Their heads are very round. Again, that allows them to turn their heads, and it also holds those very large eyes that they have. And if you notice, aside from our snowy owl, most of our other owls, their feather colors are very natural looking. So browns and grays and blacks and some mixtures of white. That allows them also to blend in with a tree. That is where they're sitting and waiting for their prey. If you think of the bark of a tree, grays and browns and blacks and whites, different colors, that allows them to blend in and wait for their prey. So I'm going to show you some facts about some of the owls that I talked about. So I'm going to start here. Owls have very large eyes that cannot move. Instead, they can turn their heads almost 270 degrees, as I stated earlier. The faces of most owls are concave disc. Remember I said how there is that disc shape? And it is ideal for focusing the sounds of night scurrying prey, because owls mostly are nocturnal, which means they are looking for their food at night. So we will start here with the burrowing owl. They live in large underground burrows that they line with feathers and plant material. So leaves or moss or the seed pods, something very soft, because do you sleep on a bed that is hard and uncomfortable? No. So our burrowing owl would not like that either. Now we're going to talk about the pygmy owl. Pygmy owls are only 6 inches in length, and they have their nests in evergreen trees. So pine trees or cedar trees, the trees that do not lose their leaves. So 6 inches, that is quite small. I'm going to pull out my yardstick. 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So a burrowing owl, if it was sitting here on the table, would only be this tall, which is quite small, which again, I give you the comparison of the length of my hand. That is how big a burrowing owl would be if it was sitting, a pygmy owl. Pygmy owl would be that tall if it was sitting here at the table. I saw the picture of the burrowing owl, I accidentally said that, but I meant pygmy. So let's move over to the common barn owl, which is from the anatomy lesson. The common barn owl can locate prey in complete darkness by sound alone. Those concave discs around its face allow them to hear animals and not even see them. The great horned owl is the only predator known to feed on skunks. Remember, skunks have that stinky smell? The great horned owl, he doesn't mind. The calls of mating pairs will harmonize with each other. So, if you hear two owl sounds that sound very similar, it could possibly be the great horned owl, the pairs, the male and the female, talking to each other. We're going to move over to the eastern screech owl, a small owl with very pronounced ear tufts, along with our great horned owl. Again, they don't have horns, but those feathers resemble horns. Same thing for the screech owl. Those are feathers. That's not their ears. It's just feathers. Move over to our snowy owl, active in daylight hours and often unafraid of humans. So this is one of the rare owls that, in fact, is not nocturnal. It is diurnal, like us as humans. It's active during the daytime and it sleeps at night. And as you can see, it's called the snowy owl because it does have mostly white or lighter gray feathers on its body to blend in with the snowy environment where it is found. So, as I said, owls are predators. That means they feed on other living animals. They catch them and eat them. They don't eat vegetables, they don't eat plants, they eat other animals. And we're going to talk about some of their prey. So we have our barn owl here. They will eat mice. They will eat voles, which are similar to the mole. It's like a mouse, but they live underground. The vole can come up above the ground or go back below. Moles tend to stay underground. A shrew, again, is another member of the rodent family. And also the lemming. A lemming looks a little bit like a hamster, but it is larger. It's about the size of your hands, my friends. It would fit into Miss Tabitha's hand. So if you notice, they eat a lot of rodents. Rodents tend to be active at night because they are prey animals, and it's easier for them to move about at night because it is dark and they will not be seen. But because an owl's vision and hearing is so well adapted to nighttime hunting, they're able to catch their prey. Now I'm going to show you a graphic on the food web, which is the food that an owl eats. But similar to the way that a spider web is connected, the food web of the owl is connected. So at the very top you will see an owl, and then there are arrows pointing down to what it eats. So an owl may eat a weasel. In turn, that weasel may eat a rat, a house mouse, a deer mouse, or a vole. That vole will eat plants and seeds. Now we're going to go back up to the top because the owl may also eat a mole. Now a mole will eat slugs or earthworms or snails, but it will also eat the roots and grub worms that live underground. An owl may eat a songbird, such as a robin or a cardinal, and in turn that bird may also eat a mole or seeds or an earthworm or a caterpillar or a beetle. Shift over here to the shrew. The owl may eat that shrew. The shrew may eat caterpillars or salamanders. Salamander may eat slugs, caterpillars, or again, plant material. So as you can see, all of the arrows are interconnecting because the owl is the predator and it is eating these prey animals, but in turn some of these prey animals are eating other prey animals all the way down to the vegetation that is growing. So this is all interconnected. The owl needs these animals to survive, and these animals need other animals or plant material to survive. So it all is interconnected. So for owls, they eat their prey and their body processes it, and it is formed into a pellet. Those pellets, the owl then, instead of it going through their body and them pooping it out, they actually throw it back up, and it is in pellet form, and I have some right here. So I have 2 here. Now, it may look like poop, it is not. It is a pellet. Again, they have pushed it back out of their mouth and thrown it up onto the ground. Now, you may notice there is some hair. There are also tiny bones inside of this. And for the next part of the lesson, I am actually going to use tweezers. I'm going to put gloves on, and I'm going to take these pellets apart, and we are going to look at the bones of some of the prey animals that a barn owl has fed on. Okay? So stay tuned. Bye, my friends.